Hello everybody, how are you? Excellent, excellent. I'll start over here for individual, how are you? But no, good to see you all, thank you so much for coming. You're all looking very lovely and tan on this wonderful, wonderful evening. So, what have you come to? Well, you all know, I think by now, there's not too many virgins left in St. Anna's, I suspect, Virgin Bavarians. So the Bavard Bar, chatty in French, is what it means from Bavard. 3 speakers, 3 regular people are going to share their passions, their loves. They're regular people, so go easy, no heckling. But no, there's going to be passion-filled night tonight with 3 very interesting and very diverse and different subjects for you to enjoy. So there will be a couple of intervals after each talk. But before I introduce the speakers, I will just remind you of a couple of things that I do every month. And that's to tell you that there are some wild cards that I introduced. I've introduced them over the last year that this event has been running. So you may be familiar with them. This one, KP Light, which is based upon the Petras Future talking event where slides stay on the screen for 20 seconds. But in this instance, I just have selected 6 random mystery slides. And if anybody wants to have a go, they can see me in an interval and you just come up, take the mic, the pictures appear for 15 seconds each, so it's a minute and a half in total. You make up some nonsense, we cheer, applaud, cry, or whatever, and then you sit down and we forget all about it, possibly. Although I do film them, so it will go viral, yeah. But no, it's a bit of fun, it's just a bit of light-hearted relief between the speakers. Then I also have this one, the privy, which is a Hastings Old Town expression, kind of like thingamabob. And that's based on Would I Lie to You? So the premise of this game, and we've had some wonderful oojas over the last few months here and in Eastbourne where I do it, is that if you have a weird or unusual fact about yourself, then, and you want to have a go at this, then you give me the weird and unusual fact, I write it down, and along with another fact that I have written down, I call you up just before the last speaker, and I'll offer you the 2 bits of paper, you take one, and then you read it out. And if it's your true fact, you can't lie. If it's my fact, you can of course lie. But the idea is to bluff the audience. So we've had some fantastic oojas. We had, he's not here tonight, but Stephen Brown did a fantastic one about claiming he had once posed naked for a calendar of naked accountants. It turned out to be true. We had someone last couple of weeks ago over at Eastbourne where I do it, she claimed to have been sick on an art installation at the Tate, and that was true. And someone claimed to be a former grass track racing car driver here, and again, she fooled the audience completely. So it's always different, you never know. And then the final one is Bohemia Road. I've based this on, I'm sorry I haven't included, you know, the Radio 4 panel show thing with Mornington present. No one's ever played this game. And I don't know what the rules are. So if you want to have a go, you can. Be my guest. We'll see what happens. So that is that. And I must also introduce tonight, she's back. She was here last month, and she's sitting towards the back. I won't embarrass her too much, but we have a Bavardist now once again. This month's Bavardist is the wonderful Maria O'Neill, who was here last month. And Maria is going to sketch the speakers, possibly even audience members, so give your best side if you wish. I'm just going to show you just very quickly, a couple of her sketches from last month. They all go onto the website so you can see them there, and I try, if I can make the technology work, because Maria will be sketching the artists this evening, I will try and put them up in between the speakers so you'll see them. But I'll quickly flick through just some. That's Piano Man Dan, I'll get out of the way. And Maria does this in literally minutes. And that was one of the speakers from last month, Sarah James. And that's Brian Doxey, another speaker from last month. There's Lee Corns, another speaker from last month. So they were brilliant. And that was a few of us up on stage to do some folk dancing for Lee Corns' talk. And I think, and a couple of audience members. So there you go. You may be sketched. Right, but of course I didn't get you here really to talk about artistry. I got you here to talk about football. What's that all about? Hey, we had English national football. I've decided I don't particularly like football. I'm not a football fan, But I think probably like most of you, I did get sucked in. Did you all get sucked into the competition or whatever it was, the World Cup? It's like, I decided what it is. The World Cup is a bit like a form of national collective suffering, isn't it, really? We all kind of get our beliefs up for a brief period of time, and then we just get terribly let down and disappointed. But at least we didn't go out on penalties, so that's a good thing. And, of course, the English manager, I think for the first time ever, he seemed to be smart, so that was positive. And I also worked out the offside for the first time. Don't ask me to explain it, but I think I've got it. But I do this thing. Do you remember? Did you see this thing? This VAR video assistant referee. Well, I think I watched a couple of games. One of the games I watched was the final. And there was a penalty decision, wasn't there? I think they had to use this. Was it handball? Yeah. And I saw, but I'd not seen them. I'd heard talk about this thing, but I just saw the ref at one point just gesticulate like that. With his, did you see that? I didn't know. That seemed to be the sign for this, but I assumed that he was just going to start a game of charades or something, and get everyone to sort of make out what had gone on. But anyway, he didn't do that. So there we go. But one thing that it did do was being drawn into the footy over the last few weeks. I have a kind of self-imposed news blackout, which I imposed on myself about 5 years ago. So I avoid news in any format. When I came up with this idea about 5 years ago, and I told some of my friends at the time, and they said, but you're not going to know, Tim, if you do that. And I said, well, it doesn't matter, I don't know anything anyways. Anyway, I embarked upon this 5-year news blackout. Of course, the football did slightly interfere with that, because you get sucked into the media. But if you were to chart my happiness over the past 5 years, it's literally off the scale. It's that kind of ignorance is bliss thing. You know, I see people rage about all sorts of bad stuff that's going on in the media, news, political events, and it's all very bad. And meanwhile, I just skip along eating chocolate and stroking kittens. I mean, literally, I know nothing about what's going on in the world, and I live a very joyful and simple, happy existence as a result. It's really, I recommend it as a way of increasing your happiness. You could go and live in an ashram, or just turn your telly off. That's pretty much the way that I've found the route to eternal happiness. Right, I'm going to shut up. And I'm going to hand over, well, first of all, I'm going to introduce and reveal, do the big reveal for tonight's Bavarders. We've got 3 wonderful speakers lined up for you, so I'll tell you who they are, and then we will kick off. So, we have first up Chris Parkinson, who's going to be talking to us about the politics of Tintin, and I've heard this talk, I heard it in Brighton at a similar talking event to this called the Catalyst Club, which is a wonderful night. If you're ever in Brighton, on the second Thursday of the month, it's run there. And I heard Chris give this talk there, so I thought I've got to get him to come to St Leonard's and share this with you. So you're in for a treat and a delight. And then returning to the Bavard Bar for the second time in St Leonard's, I think, Richard, second time in St Leonard's, Richard gave a wonderful talk in, I think, September last year about the interpretation of dreams. Brilliant, amazing talk. And tonight, he's going to be talking to us about TA, the forgotten paradigm. That's not the regiment, is it? I don't think that's the transactional analysis, I think is what it is. The forgotten paradigm, so that's going to be second. And then finally, we're going to finish Andy Gunton, Confessions of a Middle-Aged Vlogger. Andy has come, you've come to Bavard Bar a few times. You haven't spoken before, so a virgin speaker, but very excited by that.